Greetings YouTube! My camera is still broken, yes I will eventually stop mentioning it, but for now, the Survivalists. From the same people that brought us the Escapists. Fortunately though, unlike the Escapists, this is bigger, at least in terms of individual levels, more detailed, and a way less cryptic crafting system. I mean, was anybody else annoyed by the Escapist crafting system? I know I was very annoyed because, I mean, how do you make a shovel? I mean, the tutorial shows you that it's possible to get a shovel, and then you spend the next 5,000 hours trying to work out either where the shovel is or how to make one. Incidentally, you jam a file into the side of a log of wood and then duct tape a piece of sheet metal to it. I know that now. Bloody hell. Anyway, this is the Survivalists, and it's a much more traditional survival game. Even though the survival element is actually very light. You only have to eat occasionally, just to keep that hunger heart, as I like to call it, just to keep that topped up, keep 1 or 2 snacks on you to restore it occasionally. Although nothing on this island wants to be eaten, most things will actually try to kill you if you try to attack them. Even the birds. The birds hate you if you attack one of theirs. I was not ready for that. So, at a basic level, you start with a piece of sharpened stone. You pick up some pebbles off the beach, manufacture it into a very basic tool. You use that sharpened stone to hit things like trees and rocks, flowers, bushes, that kind of thing. You get wood and stone and flower petals, berries, that kind of thing. You know, the general thing, like most games. And the first time you make something, it unlocks a bunch of other stuff. You make an item and it unlocks everything else that's adjacent to it in the crafting tree. So it actually feels here like you're learning step by step. You've figured out how to make something really simple, and then your character thinks to themselves, aha, now I can do that. Even though it doesn't always make any sense. For example, one thing that does make sense is you learn to make the handle, and once you've made the handle, that leads on to making tools, like the pickaxe and the shovel. Makes sense. Some that don't make quite as much sense, for example, is you first of all make a stone slab, and that leads on to how to make glass. Doesn't really make any... The more I think about it, the less sense it makes. There are a few recipes like that. It's a bit weird sometimes. Build menus, there's a few of them. I, even now, having played the game for quite a while, still get confused as to which menu I'm supposed to be on. You've got a personal crafting menu, which is really small. It expands when you check the crafting bench, which is just the same, except it's got more on it. Then there's a separate structure build menu where you build your base out, and they also segregated the farming equipment off, which is nice, the fact that it doesn't interfere with anything else. There are some materials that are not found on the starting island. As far as I can tell, there are 5 islands designated by different difficulty levels, a different star rating. Island star rating 1 has no metal on it. You have to go to a different island. It's not the only thing you have to go to different islands for. There's a bunch of other stuff on the other islands, but metal in particular. And you have to build the boat, which means building the boat is relatively easy, but then you need a sail. And the recipe for the sail is held by the mysterious shopkeeper with the balloon. And he's on the starting island. You have to talk to him to get it. It's a whole thing. But once you can get off the starting island, you can get your metal, start advancing a bit further. And of course, the main selling point of this game, monkeys! You can train them to do stuff for you. In fact, that should have been the name of the game. The Survivalists. Monkey Trainer. Because it really does feel like you basically highlight a monkey and you press a button to get them to pay attention to you, and then you do whatever the action is you want them to copy, and they will copy it. So for example, if you want them to make things at the crafting bench, you pick the recipe at the crafting bench, you put the things on the bench, then you get the monkey to pay attention to you, you start making the thing, stop immediately, then toss them the multi-tool, and they'll do it for you. When a monkey's skill is at rank 1, they are worse at you than everything. Everything. But once they've upgraded one of their skills to rank 2, they become better at you. At whatever skill it is. Way better. And for example, they can fell a tree with an axe with fewer swings. And that means not only do you get the wood quicker, but it means less wear and tear on your tools. So it's great having these guys around. Monkeys are normally found in dungeons. There is one outside your start point in a cage, but most of them are found in the underground dungeons. I reckon you can get 4 on the starting island alone, which is plenty. Because crafting, you can craft a lot of things yourself, but once the monkeys can do it, they can do it faster than you. Sometimes crafting requires just 1 step to get the item you want. Sometimes you need to make something else as an ingredient to make the thing you're actually looking. So sometimes it's 2 steps, sometimes it's even 3 steps. And you need metal, for example, to make nails, to make hinges, to make a chest, to store items. So there's several things you often need to do. But often, once you've got the monkeys set up in a kind of production line, once you've got 1 building things for you, 1 or 2 moving items to the crafting benches, and maybe 1 to tidy up loose items after you're done, all you have to do is walk to the crafting bench and say, right, I want this made, and they'll just do it automatically. They'll snag things from the tool chest, they'll snag things from the chest rather, they'll drop them on the benches, they'll make it, they'll put it back in the chest for you. It's brilliant, especially if you've got more than 1 crafting station. You can get a nice little assembly line going between them. The only thing you have to watch out for is the monkeys are oblivious to the durability of their tools. They will break their tools rather than stop and say to you, this thing's about to break, can you please fix it? Because it's way easier to fix. It's way cheaper on resources to fix a tool you already have than to build a brand new one from scratch. You always want to keep an eye on their tools. And also, something I didn't realise at first, you can demolish structures. Don't be afraid to do so, because you get all the resources back used to make it. So you should feel free to build as much on the structure's build queue, the build tree. What am I thinking of? The bloody crafting tree. The structures, feel free to build as many of the pointless ones as possible, because it will unlock the others, and you can always recycle the structure back into the things used to make it. No fear. The Survivalists, it's simple compared to other survival games, but I kind of like it for that. And I always like these pixel art style games, where you feel like the game's, in a weird kind of way, you feel like the game isn't trying very hard, but then you discover all the hidden depth underneath it, and you figure out, okay, someone put way more time and effort into how the game works than how it looked. And I like that. Graphics and sound do not a game make, it's the gameplay that matters. And these games usually almost always nail their gameplay, and this is no exception. Yeah, the Survivalists does exactly what it says on the tin. Monkeys!